Hey everybody, Crystal Gamer here with a new video for you. This is part 3 in my Learn How to Create CC for Beginners series. And so today we are going to be doing a cast item recolor. And so we're back in Sims 4 Studio. If you want to know how to download it and all that, I covered that in the earlier videos. I'll make sure to include the links for those below and at the end of this video. But I'm going to assume that you have been with me for the last few videos, and so you should have Sims 4 Studio now, and this should be looking a little bit familiar. So the other times we went into object because we were doing some object creation, and now we're going to go into cast. Now we do have a few different options under here, and there are two that you want to be aware of for this. The first one, the create cast standalone. This is if you want to have a separate item from the item that you're recoloring. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people that are watching this have downloaded recolors and mods and stuff in the past yourself. And so you have probably noticed that when you go through your Sims catalog, you might see an item that has additional swatches with the little wrench that indicates custom content, or you might see a completely separate item that is the custom content item. So this one, this first choice, creates the completely separate item. This one here, choice number 3, add cast part swatch, will add swatches to an existing item. And I'm going to choose this one because I'm not creating anything that's going to look that much different from the existing item in the catalog. I'm just going to recolor. So I'm going to click that add cast part swatch, and then I'm going to click on the cast button. And this is going to open up to all of our different cast items. Now, I know that I want something from the base game. I want a top. I have a specific top in mind, and it is a woman's top. Let's see how quick I can manage to find it. How quickly can we go? There it is, this one here. So, okay, so this is a pretty plain top, just some designs on it. I can select as many of these as I want just by clicking, and they don't have to be in order. I can select them out of order. And if you want to select them all at once, you can just hit Shift and select them, and it'll select the whole series. So it depends how many swatches you want imported into your project and how many you're going to export and work with. Or you can just pull them all, and any that you don't want to deal with, you can just delete afterwards, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to click the next button, and it's going to create my package file. Wants a name for that file. I'm calling it KG Decorative Sweater. I'm going to tell it to save, and it's going to create my package file and open up Studio for me. And because I pulled in all 9 swatches, we can see all of them here. And we can see our 3D model. For more information on how to use this, you can check back on one of my past videos. And so this is what all of the different swatches look like. Now, we're not necessarily going to work with all of these, but I do want to show you how to work with more than one, because I'm going to show you 2 different methods today on how to recolor CC. And the first one is by using hue. And hue will have a different effect depending on the starting color. So to show that, I am going to pull this kind of fairly dark. This is kind of like a dark pink. And then this one here is, it sort of shows as a light pink here, but I don't know what you would call this color. But I'm going to pull those 2 swatches and export them. I'm just going to save this as 1 just for convenience sake. And I'm going to export this here and save this as 2. So, okay, so I have both of these in here, and I can see my package here. I'm going to go to the first one, and I'm going to tell it to open with Photoshop, just like we have in the past. And then I'm going to go to the second one, and I'm going to drag this one in there as well. Okay, so now I have the 2 swatches in here. I'll make this a little bit larger so that you can see it. And I know it looks a little bit awkward, right? We have like the front of the shirt here, the back of it has a nice low back here, and each of the sleeves. So if I go in here, you can see this nice low back that it has, and the front has some designs on it. So you can see what it is in Photoshop. It's just presented a little bit oddly. And just so you're aware, I haven't said this in my past videos, but it's definitely worth noting. I work in the Photoshop workspace. So if you go to Window, Workspace, Photography, not Photoshop, Photography workspace. So that's the workspace I use, go figure, because I'm a photographer. But in case you want your setup to look exactly like mine, that's where I'm at. If you select one of these other ones, it'll do different things like move this panel over here and sort of change up what's in it a little bit. But I use the photography workspace if you want yours to look just like mine. Now, this method that I'm showing you, this first method that I'm showing you, this should work in any art program that you have, because we're going to use hue and just change the hue. And there should be a hue adjustment in pretty much any program that you have. It's often coupled with saturation. And in Photoshop, that's the case. It's a hue saturation adjustment. And it's located under this little button here, which is a round little circle, and it's half light, half dark. And this is for creating new adjustment layers. So if I click on this, we've got a whole bunch of fill and adjustment layers here. And the one that I want to select is hue slash saturation. So I'm going to select that, and it brings up the hue saturation layer here, and it brings up this window as well. This window has 3 different sliders: hue, saturation, and lightness. The one that I would suggest you use most is the hue slider. You can use saturation a little bit and lightness a little bit as well, but you have to be a little bit more careful with them because the adjustments can look unnatural if you're not. But if I move this hue around back and forth, we can see our shirt change colors. So that's a beautiful thing. If I slide it all the way to the right, we get this nice blue color. I can change the saturation, make it a little bit more, a little bit less, or leave it right at the 0 mark. And then the same thing with the lightness. We can darken this, lighten it up a little bit, or leave it right at the 0 mark. I'm going to just leave those 0 and 0. I'm going to stick with this blue color. It's a nice little color here. And what's happening is this top hue saturation layer is making this top visible layer look blue. Now, if we get rid of this top visible layer, it pulls the bottom layer and it makes it look green. Now, if we get rid of that hue saturation, we can see our original color is that pink, that dark pink color. And on this layer, it's kind of that lightish pink color. So it's the same hue saturation adjustment. It just looks different depending which color is underneath it. It makes it appear a different color up top. So why is this relevant? Well, if we go back into Studio, we have a bunch of different swatches here. If we export each one of these swatches and apply the same exact hue to it, it's going to look different on each one. So this hue method is a great method to get a bunch of different colors on swatches. Now, it will not really work for black and white. That's something to be aware of, because what that hue slider is doing is it's changing the appearance of the existing color hue. So it works off of the existing color. So white and black are both poor contenders because white, there's not enough there. Black, there's too much there. So but all of the other colors you could use, and that hue saturation method would work beautifully. So that's method 1 on how to change things. And I'll export this pretty blue one. So I did file, export, quick export PNG. I'm just going to overwrite the existing file because I don't care about it. I'm going to go into Studio. I'm going to use this blue swatch and add this because this swatch that I'm adding in is a blue swatch, and import, and there we go. We have a nice blue color. And I chose the blue because I know under categories, the color tags, I expected it to say blue, and this is a blue as well. It's just a much lighter blue. Now, obviously it pulled this blue color for the texture swatch, and we want a lighter thumbnail. Now, if you're not picky, you can do this by just eyeballing it and saying, okay, this blue color is, somewhere in this area, roundabouts, and you can say, okay, I'm happy with that, and just leave that, and that's fine. Now, if you're picky and you want an exact color rendition, go back to your art program and select the eyedropper out of your art program and select the color from your material. And in this case, Photoshop shows the color right here. and I can just click on this and bring this up, and here is my color code right here. Now the hashtag is separate from the color code, and so I'm just going to copy the color code, and I'm going to go back into Sims 4 Studio. I'm going to click on the swatch thumbnail, and I'm going to paste the color code in here, keeping the hashtag, because if I don't include the hashtag, it won't accept the color. So I click that, and that's the accurate color. So there is my new color there. And we can add this one in. This green is so similar to these existing green colors. It's not different enough. I want some color that's different. So I'm going to change the hue up a little bit to something a little bit different. Let's go with, do we have a red? That's the closest thing, but it's not a real red. This is much closer to a real red. So let's create this. I like this. So I same steps every time. File, export, quick export, PNG. So I'm just going to overwrite again because I don't care about that file. Click yes to overwrite. Go back to Sims 4 Studio, add another swatch, import our new red one. And there we go. We've got a red shirt. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to pull the color from Sims 4 Studio. I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer, the color layer. Go to the eyedropper, select the color. Go here, pull the color code, do a Control-C to copy it. Go into my program and paste it. So, okay, so we've added in a couple of swatches using the hue method. Now I want to use a different method. I'm going to take our little eyeballs off. We can see that there's nothing here. The checks indicate transparency. So basically we're looking at a blank screen right now. We have no eyeballs. We're just looking at nothing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export the white swatch and put it in there. So we're going to export that. Again, I'm going to overwrite. Don't care about the file. So I'm going to say yes. Now we've got our white swatch here. I'm going to import it into Photoshop. I'm going to take this view back and import it in. Hit the checkbox because it's in the right location. I know it's taken up the whole field. Okay, so now we have the white swatch in here, and there's a reason we want to work off of the white one for this new method. We're going to use the blending mode method here. So here's our shirt, and we know it's not completely white, and we know that because we can see shadow underneath the breast area. We can see shadows underneath the arms, in the creases here. We can see these wrinkles. So we know it's not 100% white, which is a good thing. So our next step is going to be to select all the area that has the color. So I'm just going to select each one of these using the quick selection tool. So this tool right here is the quick selection tool. I selected each one of those areas, and we can see it's got the dotted line surrounding each one of them. So, okay, so the next step is to go down here into this little box that it's a white box with a little black circle in it, and I'm going to click that, and it's going to add a layer mask for me. And so we can see this come up, this black and white layer. If I hit Alt and hit on that layer, we can see that everything that was outside of our shirt is black and everything within our shirt is white. That's exactly what we want because the black blocks things out, the white allows things to come through. So our next step is to add a new layer using this button right here. So we're going to create a new layer, and it puts us on this new layer 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull that mask that we just created, and we're going to drag it to the new layer we just created. So now what we have, I'm going to take this eyeball off so we can't see our shirt. What we have at the top here is we have a completely blank transparent layer. Again, the checks indicate transparency. So we have a completely transparent layer with a layer mask here that's covering all of this black area. And underneath it, we have the shirt. So now I'm going to select a color here. Let's go with like an orange. Orange. Yeah, we'll go with a nice orange there. And I'm going to select my paintbrush tool, and I'm going to color over that. I'm going to color over my whole shirt. So, okay, obviously this doesn't look very good, but this is where the blend mode comes in. This here where it says normal here, this is your blending mode options. Now, you can cycle through each one of these and see how they look. Generally speaking, overlay is usually an option. Soft light is usually an option. Sometimes screen is an option. In this case, it's a little bit too light. Linear burn can be an option. This gives us a nice burnt orange right now. Let's try this. Let's try this linear burn. We're going to do File, Export, Quick Export PNG. Overwrite the existing file, and let's throw this in here and see what this looks like. Looks like a neat orange color. Yeah, gives us a nice orange right there. Now, I want to try a different blending mode. The soft light looked nice to me. Yeah, this looks like a nice yellow to me. So I'm going to export this. Overwrite, say yes, go back into my Sims 4 Studio, and I'm going to import that color. So yeah, that's a nice yellow color. And again, we can eyeball this, or we can pull the exact color from Photoshop. So you can eyeball it if you want. I like to pull the exact color. That's just my way. So I'm going to pull that color here using my eyedropper. Control C for copy. Go into Studio, paste it here, keeping the hashtag. And there we go. That's a more exact color. And this here, the orange, did I save it? It was, what was the orange? Linear burn, I think. Yep, linear burn. Okay. And I'm going to pull that color there. Control C to copy it. Go back to Sims 4 Studio. Paste it in there with the hashtag, and there we have that. So I've added these 4 colors using the 2 methods. We have 4 new colors. So those are a couple of different ways that you can easily do recolors. And I'm going to remove these swatches so that they're not duplicated in the game, because remember, I told it to add swatches. So when we started out, that was the choice that I made, was to add swatches to the existing colors. So I want to get rid of those other ones so I don't duplicate it. I want to make sure that my tags are right back here. This is like a pale yellow. This one here is like an orange. This one is a red. Good, it already says red. And this is blue. So my color tags are right. So that way I can look it up in game based on color. Now I'm going to tell it to save. Say OK. It's saved as, remember, I named it KG Decorative Sweater. So it's there. Now I'm going to pull it from here and I'm going to cut it. And I am going to paste it into Electronic Arts, The Sims, Mods. And I have a folder that I call My Mods Testing. And so I'm going to paste this into here. And so there we have it in My Mods Testing. Now I can check and see what it looks like in game. Okay, so here we are in game and we're looking at a sim with our new shirt. This is that pale yellow color that we did. And we have the blue and the orange and the sort of blue-greenish color that we did. So we have all our new colors here, and you can see we told it to add swatches to an existing item in the game. So you can see that here are the existing swatches, and the little ones with the wrench, those are the new swatches that we added in. So yeah, looks great on her. I like it. And hopefully this video was helpful to you guys. If there is anything else that I can do in the CC realm, I'm still kind of new myself, so you know, I'm not super advanced yet, but I've learned quite a bit already. And so if there's anything else that you guys think that I might be able to cover for you that you want to hear about via video, please do let me know in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you thought it was helpful at all, and if you enjoyed it all, please do make sure you hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. You know how much that means to us YouTubers. And I appreciate y'all spending the time with me today. Hope to see y'all back again next time. Bye now.